5-3-2 formation, no Bruno Fernandes. Am I crazy, or are you going to give me a chance to logically explain why I genuinely think starting with 5 defenders is the safest and gives you the highest chance to start successfully, and why a Bruno situation could be the way to start your season? So here is how my team is shaping up for the start of the 2021-2022 FPL season. In goal, we've got Emi Martinez, who was far above every goalkeeper last season by 26 points. A back 5 that consists of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luke Shaw, Ruben Dias, Luka Dean, and Vladimir Kufal. Midfield 3, we have captain Mohamed Salah against Norwich, Heung-min Son, and Kai Havertz. The 2 men up top is Dominic Calvert-Lewin alongside Edinson Cavani of Manchester United. So here's the team sheet then. I'm going to start in goal. Martinez, 5.5 million. For me, it's an absolute stalwart decision because against weaker clubs, so the first 3 games are very good, high clean sheet potential. Against the big clubs, he's a save magnet. He's everything that you want in a goalkeeper. I know 5.5 million puts a lot of people off. I'm personally glad about that. I don't want his ownership to be specifically high. When you compare the points he got last season, he's 26 points ahead of second place, 6 million priced Edison. He beats out by 15 points the top defender from last season, Stuart Dallas, who's a 5.5 midfielder now. He beat Trent, who got 160 points. He beats Robbo by who got 161 points. For me, it's just an absolute easy decision to start with Martinez in goal. People will stick with low goalkeepers like a 4.5 million Sanchez. That's fine. I just don't look past Martinez. And he's had a great Copa America. He's won it with Argentina as well. He's in fine form. For me, a simple decision to make. So moving on to my defense, you can see I've got 5 of them. I do explain this in another video I made for Fantasy Football Scout as well. I just feel as though for the price, you need 11 players, right? You probably got 2 or even 3 premiums, but you've got to have 11 players and a bench. And you don't really want to put 4 million defenders and non-playing. You need something. So you can see my bench, I've got Foster, who's probably not going to play, but I've got Martinez, who is absolutely nailed. I've got Brownhill, who plays for 4.5 million. I've got Gilmore, who plays for 4.5 million. So I've got decent midfielders at 4.5 that'll come off the bench. I don't have to play a 4.5 million defender coming off the bench. And then Obafemi, he might actually get minutes now because Danny Ings has gone to Aston Villa. I'm okay with my bench. It's cheap. But when I look at your my own starting 11, if you've got your 4 or 5 players that you really want in your team, so you really want Bruno, Salah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe you want Heung-min Son as well. If you want, say, 4 or 5 players that are higher than 8.5 million, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your starting 11 somewhere. So you've probably got a 5.5 million midfielder or a 6.5 million forward. And for me, that makes them, by the way, a 6.5 million defender makes them the joint 3rd most expensive defender. So the question I ask myself is, do I want a 5.5 midfielder who plays for a mid-table side, who probably isn't an attacking midfielder, who probably doesn't get as many minutes, or do I want to get a defender who plays for the champions with the clean sheet, which is why Diaz is there? Or do I want to pay 5.5 million for the second place club, Manchester United, 5.5 million Luke Shaw? They've got clean sheet potentials because they're in the top 2. And then you got Liverpool as well in that. So I've got a Liverpool defender, a Manchester City defender, and a Manchester United defender. These 3 teams as well could keep a lot of clean sheets this season. So why am I going to spend the same price for a midfielder in a lower league table club who probably doesn't get many minutes? And to be honest, if it was a top player in a decent club who played every minute, they wouldn't be worth 5.5 million. So I would just rather have a full 11. If you honestly look at my full 11 right now, I don't have key weaknesses. I don't think I have 2 or 3 players in my starting 11 where I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that they do something. I expect something almost every week from all my 11 players. But if you don't have 5 defenders, if you're playing, for example, a 3-4-3, I can bet that you've got at least 2 players in your starting 11 where you're thinking, oh, he might get something this week. And I would rather start the season in this manner. Also, when I've discussed on other videos as well, and I'll explain it quickly on this one, the opportunity to make a mistake with 5 defenders is a lot less. 16 defenders last season, 17 if you include Stuart Dallas, got 120 points or more. There are no forwards this season now worth 6 million or below that got over 120 points. Over 100 points. No one got over 100 points. I think Welbeck was the top one, who's now worth 6 million. So am I going to pay 6 million for Welbeck, or am I going to pay 6 million for Diaz, who plays for the Champions, who gets clean sheets. Another reason is midfielders. Yes, you can get Harrison for 6 million. And I could. And I could take out Diaz right now for a 4.5 and probably change Gilmore to Harrison. That is something I could do. But I want to start the season solidly. And like I said, Harrison was the standout option. If you chose Harrison, you would have had to get that pick perfectly because he was the only one that really stood out who beats all my defenders at the back with 160 points. One player. But if you choose a defender, you've got 16 potential players who are likely to get over 120 points this season for 5.5 million. So I just feel as though the risk factor, you've got to hope Harrison's got to go out there and do it again. I look at these defenders and I think that's all quality. And I'm not saying a player like Harrison isn't quality. He is. But can he go out and do what he did last season? It's not. I'm not too sure about that. But can my defenders go out there and do what they did last season? I want more from Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he can give more. Diaz, I think it was 1 goal and 1 assist all season. So that's just clean sheet. So he could get more goals for me easily. Luke Shaw, back end of last season, improving all the time, had a great Euros. Luca Dean and Luke Shaw both missed 8 games. Luke Shaw equates to, I think it was 29.4 games I think he played last season. Luca Dean missed 8 games with an injury. If they get more game time, I'm not going to get 120 points from Luca Dean. I'm going to get more. I'm not going to get 124 points from Luke Shaw, who was the 15th top scoring defender last season. I'm going to get more. So I just feel as though, yes, Harrison has potential too with his 160 points at 6 million, but I also believe that Luca Dean can improve. Trent Alexander can improve. Shaw and Diaz can improve. And Kufal's in there at 5 million. I think he's the best 5 million pick. Defensive 5, I genuinely think is the way to go. If I wanted to change it, yeah, I could go 4-4-2 and I could go Diaz out and Harrison in. But I believe more in Manchester City keeping clean sheets than Harrison playing all the time and doing what he did last season. Going into my midfield, so here's where it gets obviously interesting again because I don't have Bruno Fernandes. I don't have him at the moment. Now, I had Salah, I had Bruno Fernandes, and I had Buendia, the new signing from Norwich to Aston Villa, because Aston Villa's opening 3 fixtures are lovely. It's Watford, Newcastle and Brentford. You can't really ask for more than that. The way that I'm trying to look at it now is I understand Chelsea have a very difficult start to the season. However, we are talking about the Champions League winners. We are talking about a team that will be fighting for that top 4 yet again. So a difficult fixture run for Chelsea is true, but I still think that Kai Havertz, who's a midfielder, 8.5 million, who at the moment, so here's where I say it's transfer window dependent, at the moment is playing in a striker position. He plays Arsenal, so he's got Crystal Palace at home in the first game. I think that's a great fixture. I understand Palace have made some good signings, but they're completely changing the way they play. Might take time to adapt and gel with a new manager and a new play style and a bunch of new players. I think that's a great fixture for Havertz. Then he's got Arsenal, and he's just scored in pre-season against Arsenal. He's actually a bit of a placeholder for me as well, because Jack Grealish he's just gone to Manchester City, and I want Jack Grealish. I don't think Jack Grealish plays in game week 1, and then Manchester City in game week 2 are against Norwich. For me, Havertz is there for game week 1, and I'm probably going to change him to Grealish unless we find out Grealish is going to start the season, which I don't think he is. Then he's a placeholder because Grealish, 8 million, Manchester City, I think it's a solid option. So for me, this is a double transfer. It's Havertz and Son against Buendia and Bruno. On the face value side of it, I just feel as though Heung-min Son and Kai Havertz outscore Bruno Fernandes and Buendia. Another point about no Bruno Fernandes is new rules to the, quote, softer penalties. Apparently, they're going to crack down on how many soft penalties have given away. I think it's like half of Bruno's goals have come from the penalty spot. So that's lowered that as well. And I've also seen that his non-pen XG is way down compared to players that are just a fraction of his price. People like Bowen, who's not even nailed at West Ham, his non-pen XG is just a little bit better than Jared Bowen at West Ham, who's worth 6.5 million. So why am I going to pay almost double the amount of money for Bruno Fernandes? And finally, my point for no Bruno Fernandes, captaincy. I'm not going to captain him. Yes, Manchester United have good fixtures, but I'm probably going to captain Mo Salah most of the time. But then when we get to game week 3, when Heung-min Son is going to play at home to Watford, that is better than me captaining Salah at home to Chelsea. Whereas Manchester United in game week 3, if I had Bruno Fernandes, threw away at Wolves. Decent, but I think Son at home to Watford is better than Salah against Chelsea and Bruno against Wolves away from home. It's close, but again, if I'm not going to give captaincy to someone who's 12 million, I don't think I need him in my side. I'd rather use his money and split between two players who I think will outscore the two players. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what. If Bruno goes and gets 10 points and Buendia gets 2 points, that's 12. If Heung-min Son gets 8 and Havertz gets 8, that's 16. That's a better situation than getting a Bruno 10-point haul. So I just feel as though splitting his money between two good players is better than going for Bruno and someone like a 6.5 Buendia. Rafinha is someone at Leeds, obviously I'm very interested in as well, but like I said about Leeds before, they have a very difficult start to the season. Just one little point as well about Bruno Fernandes, why I likely won't start the season with him too. Effective ownership. Effective ownership, because if I'm not going to captain him and his effective ownership is higher than 100%, it feels like it is pointless having him in your side. If you have a player who has a really highly effective ownership, lots of owners and lots of people captain him, and because he plays for Manchester United, they're probably still the most popular club in the Premier League, you can have a lot of people who just captain him week in, week out. His effective ownership is, say, 140%. If you've got Bruno Fernandes in your side and he scores, he actually loses your points. Now, granted, if you don't have Bruno Fernandes, it will hurt you even more. But I would rather, like I said before, split Bruno's money between Son and Havertz and have two people try and outscore him, rather than have a Bruno Fernandes who I'm not going to captain, who when he scores a goal, I'm going to sit there and say, oh, good, I've just lost 2 points. Whereas if he goes out there and gets a 6-pointer, but Son and Havertz go and get 8 points each, I go up the rankings because I get more points than him. It's like a 2v1 situation. And then we go up front, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who in my forwards video, I did suggest was the best option to start the season with. Everton, in my opinion, have one of the best, if not the best openings to a season for the first, say, 8 games. So you're probably looking to wildcard within the first 8 game weeks. I think comfortably you can go for 2 Everton. Good fixtures in terms of attack, good fixtures in terms of defense. 16 goals last year. I don't think anyone's going to think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a bad pick. Another thing that might raise some eyebrows is Cavani. People might think he'll get rotated, but at the start of the season, we've got no FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League. It's 1 match a week. I don't think he's going to get rotated out for that. Also, I think he's the only proper striker down the middle. Now, they've gone out and signed Jadon Sancho, which I've said in other videos. He makes Cavani an even better option because Sancho pulls the defenders. He makes Bruno a better option because he'll leave space outside the box for Bruno to take shots from outside the area or edge of the area, and he'll leave space for Cavani in the middle, who hopefully is just going to goal poach. And he's 1 million cheaper than Sancho. Another way that I can jiggle my team about, if I wanted to maybe change it up, I could go Cavani down to Antonio at West Ham, and I could go Havertz up to someone like Mahrez or someone like Sancho, or I could bring back in Bruno for Son. I can go Cavani down and then Havertz to someone like Mason Mount. So there are some options for me to jiggle before the deadline. 1 week today, next Friday. But as it stands, this has been the team I've had for a while. The only changes I've made is Heung-min Son and Kai Havertz in over Bruno Fernandes and Buendia at Aston Villa. But I have not changed from a 5-3-2 formation pretty much since after my first draft video way back at the start of summer. Thank you for watching today's video. Maybe leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. I'll be streaming next Friday lunchtime around 12 o'clock, deadline day, where obviously we are nailing in our sides. Thank you for giving me your time today. As always, have a good one.